Martin Luther King Jr., his inspirational life story. Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929, in Atlanta, Georgia. He was the son of Reverend Martin Luther King Sr. and Alberta Williams King, who were both well-educated and deeply involved in the civil rights movement. King grew up in a religious family, and his father was a Baptist minister, and he faced discrimination and racism from an early age due to his skin color, which greatly influenced his later activism. King was a gifted student and was accepted into Morehouse College in Atlanta at the age of 15. He graduated in 1948 with a Bachelor of Arts degree in sociology. He then earned a Bachelor of Divinity degree from Crozer Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania in 1951, before completing a Ph.D. in theology from Boston University in 1955. During his studies, King became involved in the civil rights movement and was inspired by Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolent resistance. He soon began organizing protests and marches to demand equal rights and an end to segregation in the United States. In 1955, King became the leader of the Montgomery bus boycott, which was a protest against segregated seating on city buses. The boycott lasted for over a year and ultimately resulted in a Supreme Court decision declaring segregation on buses to be unconstitutional. This was just the beginning of his active involvement in the civil rights movement. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, King continued to lead protests and marches, advocating for African Americans to be granted equal access to education, housing, and employment. He also spoke out against the Vietnam War and poverty in the United States. King delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech in 1963 during the March on Washington, which was attended by over 250,000 people. King's leadership and nonviolent activism were instrumental in the passage of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. In 1964, he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his work in promoting social justice and racial equality. Sadly, King's life was cut short on April 4, 1968, when he was assassinated at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. He was only 39 years old at the time. His death sparked riots and protests across the country. Despite his short life, King's legacy continues to inspire people around the world, and he is remembered as one of the greatest civil rights leaders in history.